Everybody, video here for you today. Happy New Year to everybody. My first video of the year. Thought I'd talk about a place that maybe not too many of you have heard about. I just started reading about a few of these places a few days ago. We are going down to Seyitömer Höyük, right down here. Those of you who follow my channel know I like talking about places that aren't widely known about. I also like talking about how historical places are treated. Well, this place in Turkey, I want to talk about it today because it's going to be eventually lost to history. You notice the black area here. This is a massive coal deposit underneath this ancient Höyük right down here. You notice the remains, but this has been reduced in size. There was rescue excavations done here between 2006 and 2014. Then they kind of started up recently again, but this whole area is going to be mined for coal, and this historical place is going to be lost to history eventually. Now, in researching the rescue excavations at Seyitömer Höyük, I found this lecture from Dr. Laura Harrison, and Höyük is just a Turkish word for mound. But here is a pic from the 1920s of the area, and the large mound. It was about 24 meters tall, 77 feet tall originally. Then they did the rescue excavations paid for by the mining company, and it reduced the mound size here through the years down. Today it's about 13 meters tall, and some current excavations were done recently. Here is kind of a blurry look at the mound before excavations started here. This was about 75, 80 feet tall originally, and only about 13 meters remain today. But the history here spans almost 3,000 years. The Hittites were here. This goes back to the early Bronze Age. The Romans were here, some other people, but there is a lot of history packed into this mound. I will leave plenty of links below. Here is one. Salvage excavation restarted at Seyitömer Mound. And here is a look at some of the rescue excavations they are doing. The mining company paid for this. They really didn't care about what was found or any of the archaeological information. They just wanted this done as quickly as possible. And at least they paid for it and had this mound looked into for about 10 years, and some still exist. So they obviously have a little bit of respect for history here. Here's a look at the excavations when the mound has been reduced. This is what they are getting down to, stonework here at different ages. You notice the people here in the blue shirts. That'll give you some idea of scale. Some pretty interesting stonework found here. I'll show you some of that. But you notice the massive black piles of coal. I guess there's 12 million tons of coal right underneath this area here. Here's another overhead shot at the archaeologists doing the rescue excavations here. Here are some pottery vessels they found. There was some very interesting pottery found at the site. Here's another area that they are getting down to in their excavation work. I found a lot of pretty interesting stuff with this site. Here is just one link I will leave below, the secret of the 5,000-year-old frog figure. And here is a frog figure, and here is the way it was found at the site. They say this goes back 5,000 years, and these were made with molds, not kind of crafted by hand. That's pretty interesting. Here's another link I will leave below, the old bean, 4,000-year-old brain unearthed in Turkey. And this was found at Seyitömer Höyük. They figured there was an earthquake here about 4,000 years ago, and structures collapsed. And there was a massive fire, and the brains kind of got cooked right in the skull, and they were preserved from a lack of oxygen. But reading about this, I guess there was about 17,000 artifacts taken out of this mound, and when you have different cultures living at the same place, must be a treasure trove for archaeologists. Here is one area with stonework in it that is pretty strange here. Seems there is some little gateway into a rounded feature here. Circular features on that stonework. Do those represent stars? I don't know. You can leave your thoughts below, but that's a pretty cool pic right there. Here's another link I will leave below. Look at the excavation work where the mound is being just kind of whittled away through the excavation work. Here is another look. They are excavating the individual rooms. They figured these rooms had ceilings, roofs over them. They were like little houses in here. Here is a look at one of these clay figurines they found. Obviously in the human form, open mouth, with a vessel there. Are they giving offering, hoping for rain? What is going on there? Not sure. Here's another link I will leave below, the Seyitömer Höyük excavation project. It says the archaeological site of Seyitömer Höyük is located within the Kutahya region of western Turkey. 350 kilometers south of Istanbul, at an important juncture between the Mesopotamian and the Mediterranean worlds, says the development of advanced metal technology fueled commerce between these distant regions as early as 3000 BC. Down here, it says, the archaeological site of Seyitömer Höyük is situated on top of a 12 million ton coal reserve. Beginning in 2015, a private company will extract this coal, and the archaeological site will be permanently destroyed. Students in this field school will have an opportunity to excavate and document archaeological material from this threatened site, which will make a lasting contribution to archaeology. In addition, they will gain firsthand experience with the ethical issues surrounding cultural heritage management. So they learned about preserving history, at least excavating it. And this site is going to be lost, and that's part of the reason why I'm sharing it today. Here's a look at excavations here. Some different things noticed in this picture, some broken pottery fragments. That feature right there, you can leave your comments below what you think that is. Could be a storage vessel or maybe part of a home here. But archaeologists did note a massive earthquake happening here about 2000 BC, and then a fire burning a large area of this mound. Here's another link I will leave below. Seyitömer Mound in danger, science or money? It says conflict archaeology in Turkey with money once again on the agenda, desiring to throw away the past for the sake of various interests such as those experienced dozens or even hundreds of times before, is valid for Seyitömer Mound this time. Why, you ask? Because there are coal reserves under the Seyitömer Mound. This must be valid enough reason for the coal company that excavation is wanted to be stopped. Here's another look at the excavation. There's a look at that 5,000-year-old frog figure. It says the importance of Seyitömer Mound, the oldest settlement identified in the mound starts in the early Bronze Age. This settlement, which was on the edge of a stream at that time, is surrounded by walls, a pottery center made using molds instead of handmade pottery in the old Bronze Age. During the Hittite period, the mound was surrounded by walls again, and in the upper phase of this period, the remains of an iron-making workshop and furnaces and iron ingots were found. Now, I'm just going to play a brief clip from this lecture here by Dr. Laura Harrison where she talks about the site, and I will leave the link for this full video below.
So a lot of those changes were driven by the quest for metals, as I mentioned, things like the Uluburun shipwreck suggesting long-distance trade. And we do have evidence at Seyitömer Höyük that the quest for metals was really, really instrumental in driving this move towards urbanism. And here you can see a model. This is our site right here. These are some of the trade routes that existed, again, mostly linking here to northern Mesopotamia. And these are some of the metal objects that we did find here. And again, that's really emblematic of what the Bronze Age is all about, is kind of this quest for high-value metals. Here's an example of an archaeological find from the site in which you can see a residue of bronze on a pot suggesting local production.
Here's the way the mound looks today after years of excavation and archaeology work. Will they get to older ruins at the very bottom of the mound since there's still 13 meters left? Well, that's entirely possible. But how did this mound look 4,000 years ago? Today, we can only just get a brief hint by these ruins here. Well, let's take a look at a clip from that lecture here where she goes over what this place looked like.
And here is a close-up of what some of that work looks like here, allowing you to see in the buildings. And then, again, you can kind of see these are the non-elite houses. You can see that hearth is generally in the same place in each of them, and that sort of linear pattern of movement straight in from the street. Here's another rendering of one of the buildings that we reconstructed just based on an architectural analysis and then sort of incorporating that into the 3D world. And let's see. And here is an animated fly-through that, again, just is meant to convey to a general audience sort of what this site was about, what it would have been like to actually walk around it. So that's something that I think is really missing from a lot of archaeological interpretations. There's a lot of these two-dimensional black and white maps, and sometimes it's sort of hard to really sense what it would have been like to be at the site. And so the purpose of these is not necessarily so much research, because the research was sort of done before the model was made, but it's rather just kind of sensing the place, sensing what it would have been like to be at this Bronze Age village, 4,000 years ago.
I just thought I'd do this one today. This is a place that I hadn't heard about till about 3 days ago, so I figured there's a lot of you out there that have not heard about it either. Some pretty interesting pottery here that goes back maybe 4,000 or 5,000 years. Some interesting stonework, many periods of history. Just a very interesting one to do today. That is a look at the remains of Seyitömer Höyük in Turkey. 12 million tons of coal right below it. This place is going to be lost eventually, but the coal mining company allowed excavation work to go on here for years. Apparently there has been some recent excavation work done there, but that is a remnant of what once existed at that site. A lot of fascinating ruins spread out all over this area of the world. Ancient Turkey, going to have a few more coming from that area. Hope you thought that was cool. And you all have a very nice day.